Hello and welcome everybody to an unboxing. Heitok. I spent about $50 for this. It is July 2025. Price and availability will change. That's just the world we live in. But more importantly, what does the fox say? I don't know. I guess we have to wait. Maybe they made a YouTube video about it. I don't know. So, without further ado, let's unbox this and have a look, give you my impressions. It's pretty affordable. This is a 300-piece poker set here. You can see iron core, well balanced, weight and touch. All right. Well, there's a little seal here, so we're going to gently cut that and see what lies beneath. We have an aluminum case. Not my favorite case on the planet, but hey, it's what it came in. 300 poker chips are lurking in here. All right, let's see how this works. The big reveal, which side is up? These are feet, so this side must be up. All right, ready to rock and roll, everybody? Ta-da! Silver Fox poker set. Look at this. Comes with a dealer puck. Ooh, that's a heavy metal dealer puck. Some dice. Why? Just because. Awesome. There's some QR code. I don't know if this is high resolution enough to pick that up. Everybody pause the video. Pull out your phones. I don't know what this is. Probably just their website or something. So we'll move that aside. But more importantly, I want to see what these chips are like here. What is going on here? We have some ones that are black. That's an interesting color. 5. All right, well, we're doing black and maroon now. I guess that's almost red. Let's pull some of this stuff out. We'll have a quick look. Should we pull all the... There's lots of denominations here. 100, 500, 25, 50. Oh, this might work really well for micro stakes because you could literally do penny, nickel, quarter, and you have enough. Huh, interesting. All right, let's move this case out of the way. Let's start cracking some of these. So immediately the colors are the first thing I noticed. They're not exactly what I would call standard colors, but that might be okay. There are no edge spots. Just straight colors. And let's have our first look here with these pinkish 5s. I always wonder how this will look on the camera, but to me they look very pink. They shuffle well. Actually, they shuffle okay. Let's have a look at some flatness here. I have some thoughts already. So, all right, here we go. We're trying to get some flatness done here. There is some wobble here. So, all right, let me tell you, before we talk about design, let me tell you a little bit about what I noticed immediately. So immediately I can tell you there's no flashing around the edges, which is great. So many chips have flashing around the edges. These do not. So they feel really good around the edges. One problem though is there's just a tiny lip around the outside. And that tiny lip, if they're not lined up perfectly, creates some wobble. So if you have a stack like this, you know, there's no chance that there's not going to be any wobble because that rim is so narrow that you have to get those approximated perfectly for there to be any semblance of flatness. And then they're pretty flat. I would say more flat than your average ABS chip. However, you know, if they're slightly askew, there's a lot of play there because of how narrow that edge is. Now, the design, you know, aside from just the base color, it's okay. It does have this torn paper motif style here, like some sort of like child's collage that they're doing for school. And that seems to work. It'll match the casino floor. yippee, okay? Is it my favorite? Probably not, but they have a big denomination here, and it doesn't have like a $sign denomination, so it's just a 5. That's all you need. It can be pennies, it can be yen, it can be dollars, it can be thousands, whatever. 5, great. And they do give you a variety, the 25s, the 1s, and again, the colors are not what I would call standard in the slightest. Looking at the reflection on these labels, these look like sticker labels, they do seem to not be perfect and uniform across the board. Most of them look pretty good. But when I was just playing around with them here, I could see the reflection in the light, and they're not all perfect. And I guess you wouldn't expect that at this price range. The other thing I've noticed is that they are very slippery. So the labels seem to be slippery. The material seems to be slippery. Like it just seems to slide around very easily. Like how fast would you expect to be able to push a set without it falling over? So you can see just a little push and that whole thing slips. Again, there's not a lot of surface area there. And even on the exterior portions here, they feel pretty slick. Trying to get one of these up. It's pretty slippery here. Wow. Here, let's use my ceramics. Okay, ceramics are also kind of famously slippery. So these are just my promotional chips. Even these, you know, at the moment are extremely slick. Very similar to these. And so just trying to get a feel for how slippery these are. An ABS chip that's as slippery as a ceramic. My fingers have been overwashed this morning. Actually, I'm going to roll in some pictures of the edges and some of the labels and see if I can kind of demonstrate how the quality of these. They actually seem like the quality control is pretty good, I would say. Better than what I expect from something, you know, obviously brands on Amazon are their own individual brands, but I call them Amazon brands because things that you just buy on Amazon. So overall, for the price, $50, do I feel like these are better than dice chips? Yes, I do. They feel better, they're more smooth, they actually have denominations on them, and I don't feel like I'm missing anything handling these. Real quick, I want to pull out this dealer, the button here, and because we're gonna do some weights and measures here, and this looks like just a big painted metal button right there. So we are going to pull out our digital scale, and we shall see. What are we at here? We need this to be in grams, so we'll switch the mode here. All right, here we go. So they're advertised as what, 11.5, very similar to dice chips. And that one is 11.5, very nice. Let's try a 5. 11.7, lovely. What about this dealer puck? Ah, 63. 63, dude, that's a serious heavy duty. I like it. All right. I believe that these are 39 millimeter, but again, why believe when we can check? All right, here, let's turn this on. We want this in millimeters. And, oh, they're 40 millimeters. So this particular one is 40 millimeters. I believe this one will be as well. Let's see how consistent they are. Yeah, 39.93. All right, 40 millimeter chips. Well, awesome. So the obvious thing to do now is to make an imaginary pot with me as the dealer and play a quick hand. So see how these do. Let me know what your thoughts are about this design, this like camo collage. busy design that they have around here. Like I said, the denominations seem pretty clear, and the solid color makes them pretty easy to recognize if you have a stack of one or the other. And they seem pretty affordable. So for an affordable chip, I'm actually pretty impressed. I would say these might be, at the price point, my favorite chips at the price point. Interesting. All right, let's, here are the purple 50s as well. So let's throw in some cards. What are these? Did I get these at the poker store? I don't remember. Anyway, here's some plastic playing cards. We're going to play some YouTube Hold'em. Obviously not real Hold'em. There's no betting cycles. There's nothing at stake. If you're at home, grab a deck, shuffle up, deal yourself 2 cards. And it's great doing this because occasionally you get people who message and they're just like, yeah, my exact 2 cards were in the flop. So obviously, you know, like I said, it's not real Texas Hold'em. It's just, oh, and every time people ask me, I call this the weave shuffle. That's what I call it. There might be a reverse weave. I don't know. I'm not a card shark, so I don't know. That's just what I call it. So, on that note, I'm going to play my imaginary friend, Jane Doe. You can play along. If you don't have a deck, you can imagine that that's your hand. So we always start with the left, deal ourselves 2 cards here. And I'm going to actually look at my cards. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. We're going to burn a card, and we're going to hit this flop. Again, no betting cycles. Welcome to YouTube, everybody. Just go right to the river. I think I did okay. I have Queen High. And unless Jane has like an ace or a king or something, I'm doing fine. Yeah, see? Easy. I got this. Yeah. For those of you that know, she goes on very long winning streaks, so I'm very happy whenever I win. So that was an example of, we're going to see how the cards did, okay? Or the chips. How did the chips do? Everybody happy with those chips? Is it too much? Is that too busy for people? Should we open one of these decks and continue playing? Let's just open one of these and just keep going. At least it's not sealed. Somewhere I have an sharp object. All right, here we go. Yeah, it's interesting price points of everything these days, where everything is going. All right, here we go. What are these? Paper cards? Yeah, these are paper cards. There's a crease on a lot of these. I would not describe these cards as a premium item. So on this 2, I don't know if I can get it to glare just right, but there is kind of a crease at the top here. Anyway, do we have jokers in here? We have 2 jokers. All right, ace is supposed to be down there, but whatever. I'm going to shuffle paper, Heitok cards. Again, this is the first thing that I would replace if I bought these. Not that I would replace them, because I review cards and poker chips, so I have so many sets of plastic cards I would rather play over any paper cards. But in a pinch, that did not work out at all. Oh, so for those of you that don't know why I'm shuffling this way instead of the weave, is with paper cards, when I try to weave them together, lots of times it damages the corners and they just don't weave very well. And so these actually have a crease in them, which make them like a slight bow. And so there's some rigidity here, so they don't flex in this manner very easily, which makes them kind of hard to weave shuffle. I mean, you can kind of force it, but you don't get a good shuffle. All right, with that said, let's, I need to do this way more with a cold deck. So normally I do this action and I mix them all up. However, we're not doing that today. All right. This hand, Jane is the dealer, so I get the card first. And we are going to, again, have a look here. Easy to read. Cold decking. We're going to flop. See, it's just, like I said, I should have properly shuffled to this. I have the queen, and she has the 2. So, all right, yeah, not a fan of the cards. I like the dealer puck. I like the chips, actually. I do like these chips. Not comparable to anything premium or that you're going to find at a casino. That's debatable. But yeah, they're actually very reasonable for the price. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I need to give a huge shout out to PokerChipForum.com for supporting this content. Thank you, Tommy, for all that you do. Please visit me on PokerChipForum.com. You can write me a message. I have an account on there. I usually respond to, recently I've had people comment or send me private messages, and I do my best to respond to those in a timely fashion. So I appreciate everybody on Poker Chip Forum for the great conversations that we have, for the fun that we have together. Be sure to visit me on PokerChipForum.com, and thank you to all my patrons. I will be back with more content. If you enjoy poker content of any sort, particularly poker chip and card reviews, be sure to subscribe. You can also visit my Amazon shop. I'll put a link in the description below. There's some poker-related stuff on that Amazon shop. I am an Amazon associate, so I make proceeds from qualifying purchases, and that's how it helps this channel. Thank you, everybody, for watching.